Hey everyone, we're back here at the Creative Room. I'm Vitor, as you know, and today we've got Neil here with us.
G'day.
And our honored guest, Saga. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And today we'll be talking about 2021 census in Australia. So it's a important thing for all of us. And Saga will help us to understand why it's so important and why we all should do it and follow all the criteria in that. So again, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate it. You're taking the time. I know it's coming quite soon, right?
Yes, it's not that far away. So 12 days to be exact.
Oh, wow.
Not long to go. 10th of August is census night. So that's the reference day, yeah.
So that's on the 10th. So, because I got a friend, I think she got a letter on her post already, yeah?
Yeah, so the 28th of July, all the letters would have gone out to every single household in Australia. Mm-hmm. They would have received those letters and instructions on how to complete the form, whether they're doing it online or whether they will receive a paper form. So
by the time they have the information in hands, can they go and do it, or they have to wait for the 10th?
No, they can definitely go and do it. A lot of it's a lot of our forms, online forms, will be available early August.
Okay.
But if you have a paper form, you can definitely complete it. You just need to reference the 10th of August.
So when you say reference, you mean so fill it in as if it is the 10th of August?
Yeah, so if you already know where you're going to sleep, whether you're having a census party at home or you're going to someone else's house for census night, if you're already aware of that information, then you can complete your census forms early and just reference it to the 10th of August. Yeah.
Okay. And so census, what is it? What's the census?
Yeah, great question. Hey, we should get someone to come in and talk about that. Census, it's probably the largest statistical collection that's done by the Australian Bureau of Statistics. It's a great way to show a makeup of Australia, what cultural groups currently exist in Australia, what's our diversity in Australia. So census is just a really, really big survey that the whole of Australia do, and it's to help inform our government of what services are needed in Australia. So that's census.
Because this happens every 5 years.
Every single 5 years. So it has been happening for the past over 100 years. It's been happening.
Really? Wow.
But every single 5 years they'll do a new census survey, and so it's pretty much the same information, but this year we have two extra questions. So a couple of things that are new is long-term health question, and that's just to help our government be more informed on what better health services are needed.
Yep.
And the second one is the Australian Defence Force question. So have you ever served? Are you a veteran? And that again is to help inform our government of what services are needed to support our veterans.
It sounds surprising that that's never been in before.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, the great thing is it is now.
Absolutely.
So we can get a really clear picture on what supports are needed for them.
Not for the census. It's a snapshot across all of Australia, so that's irrespective of, obviously we work with a lot of people on different visa categories, not just Australian citizens or permanent residents. Is it everybody that does the same?
Absolutely everybody. So whether you're not a citizen, just an Australian resident, on a visa or visiting, if you're here in Australia on the 10th of August, you have to complete the census. It's compulsory.
Yeah, great.
So, because for internationals who are living in Australia, so the reason why they need to come and do the census and mention that they are living in Australia, I think that's connected to the service that you mentioned before, just to ensure that Australia has enough resources to provide services to everyone, right?
Yeah, and I think that's probably the most important message to get out to community, to international students, to different cultural groups. There are, if you personalise census in the sense that, yes, census is so that the government can be informed, but census is also a way that people can have a voice. Census is a way where cultural groups can say, our community exists, we're here, we need services, this is the needs within our community, and here's the evidence to prove it. We have a population of this many people, and we have this many children that need teacher aides in schools to support our language group. So census really does help our government inform them on what schools are needed, what teacher aides are needed in the schools, what services are needed in the community, but also when you look at the homelessness services as well. Homelessness is a massive issue, I'm sure, in most countries, but in Australia specifically, it helps inform us of those services that are needed.
So just for us to have an idea, what kind of information we will be providing to census? So what kind of questions? Is it taking, I believe, personal details and then going on professional lives, and what kind of stuff?
So it'll ask you every single question you can think of, really. So name, date of birth, married, not married, sex, so male, female or non-binary, religion, ancestry even, so where you were born, but then also provide your ancestry. And so a lot of community groups, that's a really important question to answer, because a lot of our children are born in Australia or born in New Zealand, but their ancestry and where their roots and where they're connected to land and sea either come from Samoa or Tonga or Portugal so it can be anywhere. So that's a really important question to also answer in that. It also asks you what languages you speak, if English is your first language spoken at home, or do you speak another language at home. So it really breaks down a lot. Also your occupation, where you work, and I guess going on from that, there's always that stigma around the privacy, and people get quite concerned that they're answering these census forms, and the government are going to take it, and Big Brother is watching, and but we're actually bound by the Privacy Act. So the Australian Bureau of Statistics, we're not allowed to share information with any other government organisation. Just like any other service that would like access to statistics, so do the Australian Taxation Office. They have to still come through that same process. There's no side door or back door service for any service or any government organisation. Everybody accesses it the same way.
I think that's a really good thing for people to know, isn't it? Just that, everything you put in here stays in here.
That's right.
And I'm sure there'll be various reports and everything made from this data to inform, but it is very much protected there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think that as we have the chance now to do it online, even though we have the paper, it's still, but that's a concern. Some people will be like, am I sharing my information? Because as you said, it's going to ask everything.
Yes.
So, but it's good to know that. So.
Do you see any questions that people typically struggle with how to answer? Is there anything in there that we sort of highlight to people that this is what they're asking there? Or
I know ancestry was always a hard one. People never really understood ancestry, nationality, and where you were born. Because a lot of passports will say that means if you hold a New Zealand passport, well then you're of the New Zealand nationality. And so I know that ancestry question is always really a difficult one for anyone that speaks a second language even to understand. It's just where do your parents, what's your ancestry?
I think I'd like to where you put, where you associate your land and water sort of roots to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just connecting to that. So as you said, especially having people from different backgrounds, and English may not be the first language. Is there any support available? How does it work for someone who needs help filling the form, or they don't understand something? Is there anything in that in place?
Yeah, so we have multiple supports out there at the moment. A lot of our libraries, so just in Queensland specifically, we've secured a lot of really great support from all the local councils. They've offered their libraries where we'll be holding a lot of those fill in the form sessions that can be conducted either in a language, a different type of language, or in English, so that's open to the public. We've also had a number of local engagement officers out there for the past 4 months organising those closed door fill in the form sessions.
Okay.
So they're specifically requested by a cultural group who believe that their community need it to be in language. So although the census form isn't translated, that is English, we can translate it by having somebody there speaking language and telling them how to complete the form in their mother tongue.
Yeah.
We hope it doesn't happen. But, right, if someone misses the due date, so if someone misses the 10th of July, although I do have missed it. Yeah, 10th of August.
You definitely missed it.
So 10th of August. So what happens? What do they have to do? Is there anything they can do, or if they've missed it, or how does it work?
We're really lucky the census that they've given us a bit of time. Okay. So there is a bit of time up until the end of August or end of September where you can actually complete the form. So you still need to reference the 10th of August, but you have a fair bit of time to complete it and get it in. Yeah.
But still better to do it by the 10th of August, on the 10th of August.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And some of those areas that won't, that have low reporting, will get a friendly knock on the door or a friendly reminder that, they have to complete their census. Yeah. But, you have some time. You do have some time to complete it.
And because I was going to a very trustful place to search for things, Google.
Yes. Google's my friend.
So I was looking for census curiosities, right? So things that data that were collected and what kind of information they can share. And with this huge multicultural event that we have in Australia, Queensland, Brisbane, I saw something that I think it was in 2016. They were able to get a data that over 50%, or was around 50% of the children in Australia, they were overseas, right? So they came from overseas, or they were born in Australia, but parents, they are
both parents
from overseas.
That's huge.
Yeah, definitely huge. And I think that's probably that's definitely why census is really great and being able to capture the makeup of Australia. It helps us see who's out there. Yeah, what's the diversity of our community, but also what support services are needed for those community groups. So yes, it will give you a lot of that information. It'll give you even to the point of Centrelink payments. Who's on Centrelink? How many parents in a household would be unemployed? It gives you unemployment as well, which is, it's great because census isn't just about us providing information to the government. It's not about them being in, specifically just them being informed about what the makeup of Australia is and where their budget allocations need to go to, but it's also evidence for us as local people in the community that are migrants to Australia. It's a way for us to show evidence that we exist. It's a way for us to have a voice in Australia and say that we need more services. We need support.
That's important.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? As you say, it just shows, like that statistic there, maybe people just don't understand what the magnitude of different things are until you can actually say, well, no, the numbers are there, this is what it takes.
Yeah.
Can I ask, how long does it normally take for any sort of statistical analysis to be done after the census is completed? Is that sort of, is there a time frame that they usually work to?
Yeah, there is. So our stats will be released in 2022. Okay. June, I believe, is the first round of stats that'll come out, and that's where, just off the top of my head, the ADF stats will come out, and some others as well will be released in June 2022. October 2022 will be the second round of release of our statistics, and then 2023 will be the final round. So by mid-2023 we should have access to all of those statistics that will then help businesses, infrastructure, schools, public transport, health services. It'll help inform where those need to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay. And just one last question on the online form. If I started doing it, is there an option that I can stop and save it and come back to it? Yeah, come back to it and still doing it, or do I have to do the whole thing at once?
That's a great question. Can I call a friend? I believe you can. I believe you can save and then submit later. But I will have to. I can email you that information.
Sure.
If needed. I apologise. I should know this, but I don't. But I'll phone a friend.
Okay, sure. we can add the info on the description, so people can, if they're watching us, they'll be able to get the info.
Yeah.
Usually you can save.
Usually you can. Yeah. Usually you can save online forms and submit, but I'm really not sure.
I know the last question that quite a lot of the people might be interested in is, how long do you think it will take to do the census form?
About 30 minutes for an average household.
There you go.
To complete a census form. I was a part of the dummy run. They did a dummy run. It took me roughly 15 to 20 minutes to complete the online form. That was just me.
Yep.
So it doesn't take long. The online form is preferable because when you answer the questions, it actually goes straight to the next question that's relevant to the answer you've given. Whereas a paper form, so many words, and you
skip this.
You've got to turn the pages, and 62 pages is a lot of pages for a household form. 26 pages for a personal form. So that's a lot of pages to go through. So online platform is obviously encouraged. But not the only way to complete census.
And let's save the planet. Let's not use the paper.
That's right. Yeah. Save our trees.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And how far can census go? Is it like Brisbane, the major cities only, or it goes
nationwide
as far as possible?
Yeah. So my position, I'm a Census Engagement Manager. There's 6 of us across Queensland, but then we're also across the whole of Australia. New South Wales have census workers, Tasmania. We're actually everywhere in Australia because census is a way to capture the whole of Australia. We've got, I don't know, over 10,000 positions in community field officers, so people that are physically on the ground out there engaging with community, but specifically in our cultural and linguistically diverse strategy, which is one of the ones I cover. And that, again, is all about engaging those vulnerable communities that wouldn't know that census exists, but also communities that have that fear around government and don't really have a good history of government from where they have come from. We have a lot of community field officers out there, and those community field officers also reflect the diversity of a community. So just in my region, which is the southeast Queensland region, I have 50 community field officers, and most of them speak 2 or 3 languages. It's absolutely amazing.
Isn't it?
Absolutely amazing. So, the services that they can provide those communities in different languages, and just being able to relate really helps with being able to ensure that participation.
And as you say, making sure that those communities get their voice heard in the census.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely important.
Okay, so 2021 census coming.
Yep.
Yeah.
So 10th of August.
10th of August, yeah.
10th of August.
You can't miss us. Look at our beautiful orange shirts.
I've liked the slogan for the year. So every stat tells a story.
Yeah.
So it shows how important it is for every single person to
definitely
to do it, right?
Get engaged.
Yeah, and every stat does tell a story. And I know I said I've been doing a number of presentations to my community groups. And it's always around personalising that story and saying, you're not just doing this for you, you're doing this for your children and providing opportunities for them, but you're also doing it for your cultural group and your local community, because if you don't complete the census properly, you could be that one stat that could have provided another school or could have provided another teacher aide or could have provided the support needed for your community group.
That's huge.
So, yeah.
It's massive. It is.
Yeah.
It's really very big.
So look, on when we post it on the description, we're gonna have some info regarding if you can save or not your application, and we're gonna have the census website in there as well. Remember, if you need help with translation, the service is available. Saga, thank you so much for taking the time to come.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we know it's 10th of August is coming.
Yeah.
Right? So thanks for being here today, and I know
Thank you
how
very
busy you
much
are.
for having me.
And yeah,
Thank you
it
again.
was great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.